Driving the culture forward. This is HYPEBEAST Radio. I'm Ben Rosen.
I'm Nigel Sylvester.
And today we're here with BMX rider, entrepreneur, social media maven, Nigel Sylvester in the flesh. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Thank you so much for finding some time in your schedule, man. You were saying earlier that you're kind of a little exhausted. You've been traveling a lot lately?
Yeah, man. We just landed from Aspen last night, and then I'm off to Miami in the morning.
What were you doing in Aspen?
We were hanging out with the KITH crew. It was Ronnie did KITH Montclair collab, and it's released this past weekend. So he flew a bunch of the homies out to Aspen to kind of celebrate and drop the collab, and it's an incredible collab for sure.
It's crazy. Yeah, so I mean, I just wanted to kick things off. How was it when you heard Jay shout you out on biking?
I mean, that was crazy. It was completely insane. Completely caught off guard. I didn't know it was gonna happen at all.
Yeah.
They don't text you about that?
Nah, they didn't text me.
So where were you when you heard it?
I was at the crib. I was sleeping, dude, and I woke up, normal shit. Checked the gram, see what's popping.
Yeah.
And someone like DM me and told me, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Like, sure, guys. And then someone else hit me on Twitter and said it, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, it must be something, because two different people from two different coasts hit me saying the same exact thing. So I hit the Google, and then I saw the link, and it popped up, and I was like, okay, a track called Biking.
Yeah.
Maybe it is
Makes
something
sense.
there.
Yeah.
Makes some sense.
Very on brand.
And then played the track, and I was just like speechless. I couldn't even like, it was just like a vibe. Like Ho is like my favorite rapper of all time. Favorite like musician, point blank period. And just to like for him to do that, and I'm just like, wow.
Must be like one of the coolest things to cross off your bucket list too, is to get like name dropped in a rap song.
For sure.
I mean, like, I don't even think that was even on my bucket list. I feel like that would never ever happen.
Yeah.
Nobody really imagines that Jay-Z is going to name drop them.
Yeah. I mean, being like, a kid from New York too, like, looking up to, like, Hove's probably like one of your favorite rappers, no?
No, of course, yeah. Hov is for sure like my favorite rapper. Grew up listening to his music. I can remember so many moments in my life where my friends and I would reference things that like Rockefeller did, or just you talking about the music, the fashion, the power moves, like all the different things. He's always been like a motivating force in my life, someone I like looked up to for sure, So it was just a crazy moment. That was just a crazy moment in time for me. Like this whole year has been like insane,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like you've been in like several campaigns and stuff. Like we're seeing you on billboards here in New York and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like that is definitely like the cherry on top.
No, for sure.
For sure. I mean, like you've also been on the 30 under 30 list for Forbes.
Yeah, like that's how the year started. That was January 2.
Jesus. Starts early.
Yeah, it started off so crazy, man. That's something. Being a kid and having like really big aspirations, and just being like mentioned by Forbes, and like that was an honor in itself, like it's a very like prestigious list. And they were telling me that they get more applications for the Forbes 30 under 30 than they get for like most like college applications, and depending on like a certain school, not all together, but like certain schools, so I was like, that's insane, to be like amongst that list and amongst like those people and on that list,
Yeah. When you first got on your first bike, did you ever see it taking you this far?
I definitely dreamt that it would, but I couldn't even had called like what's happening now, like back then. And it's just like completely like dream come true,
Mm-hmm. Who inspired you to like get on your first bike?
I don't think anyone necessarily inspired me to get on my first bike. I think I was just like a super young kid, and bicycles were around me, and it's like naturally you're gonna like be curious, you're gonna pick up a bike and go try different things. And I was super young, man. Like my mom actually sent me a photo. No, not my mom. My aunt actually sent me a photo. I was probably like 2 years old in the photo. And I'm like holding on to this bike, and the bike's like bigger than me, and I'm like trying to hold on to it, So it's been something I feel like it's been part of my life forever since I could remember, And there's actually like the imagery to even prove it prior to me remembering those moments, So it's always been there.
And since picking up, you've made a very like concerted effort. Like, I think in every time that you've done like interviews and press stuff like that, you make a point of saying that there was a period when you first started doing BMX where there was like judgment and like you kind of felt like you had to battle and like fight back against stereotypes. And I don't want to like go over like old trodden ground, but it's like, do you think that there's been some progress since like the Forbes moments and since you've kind of helped normalize it for, you know, like young black men to be into BMX and stuff like that?
Of course, man. Like, I've been pro now for 12 years, you know, and I dealt with a lot of those things where people didn't understand what I was doing at a very like early age, you know, because BMX riding like in that way wasn't normal, like in the hood, you know, like having like a dope like GT or dyno riding around, and it was always the cool thing to have.
Right, yeah.
But when you're talking about, I'm gonna go jump down this 10 step, or I'm gonna go ride this rail, I'm gonna go jump like this like ledge, or whatever the case may be, that's like a whole different world of BMX than what people in my neighborhood like we're used to. So of course, just something being different and people not being familiar with it, people usually like tend to shy away from it, you know. I think what helped that a lot is when action sports in general started to be more commercialized, and you started to, and I feel like the mass public started to embrace the fashion side of how like action sports kids were dressing. Yeah. You know, like that started to like really like help that whole movement, and then you started to see it more on TV and in TV shows, and then you got shows like Jackass and Ryan Sheckler's show and Rob Dyrdek, of course, and all that. Yeah, you started to see it more like on like just cable television. You started to see action sports, and I think that helped it a bunch. I think that also like helped me push like my agenda forward as far as like, I wanted to just ride my bicycle and like mix that with what I naturally did in the hood, you know. Yeah. Like that's what it was. Like we like to get fresh, we like music, and we just mix a lot together. And I think like throughout my career, I've shown kids of color that it's okay to go and ride a bicycle and want to be a professional bike rider, or do just like whatever it may be, just do different things. Like don't be afraid of like who you are and what you really want to do and what's in your heart. You know?
And as far as like pushback goes, like earlier on, like there might have been stereotypes and like, you know, all of those issues that you just talked about, but there's also kind of, I think, this perception where it's like you're not a competitive pro, you don't do competitions. What was that sort of like coming out and being like, I'm actually going to approach this from a different standpoint? I got a lot of
hate, I would say, from my industry. I probably got more hate from my industry than I got from outside of my industry, you know. And I think it was really just the way I went about it. Where like for me, like, and for kids even before me who grew up in New York City, like riding a contest was cool and stuff, but it was never our main agenda. Right. Like there's generations of bike riders before me, black kids, white kids, Spanish kids, Asian kids, like all over, you know, I'm all different types of kids and people from different places who are more focused on just creating video parts and just riding at our own pace and doing our own thing, and really like just not fitting into what the normal BMX pro looks like or the normal BMX lifestyle. We just say, you know, we're gonna do it our own way, you know. So that's something that's always been in me. So when I had the opportunity to be a pro and I can like let my voice be heard and I can be creative on a stage like that, I was like, I'm gonna just continue to do what I grew up doing anyway. I'm gonna just continue creating content. And I think it was a perfect storm where social media started to just take off at the same exact time where I became a pro, you know? Yeah. And I think just those two things, it was like just this seamless marriage. I was like, okay, cool. Now I have a platform that can speak to the world. Any given moment, I'm gonna continue doing what I want to do. Like growing up in Queens, you got to get fresh, you know what I mean? So fashion and style and clothes, that's super important. You know, your sneakers got to be on point. Like listen to certain music, hang out in certain places, go to certain parties. Like, and I really just say, you know what, I'm gonna just bring all that into BMX, because usually like pros just only show one side of it. It's like I'm just show you my bike riding, show you my sponsors, and that's it. Yeah. You know, with me, I was like, okay, cool. Like I want to work with brands that are a direct reflection of how I'm feeling and where I come from, and again, like that style and like just our lifestyle. You know. So that's when like that side of it came too. It's like, cool, I'm not gonna just go ride for any brand or like work with any brand. I wanna make sure I'm working with brands that I truly believe in. You know, like, and again, it was just like a perfect a perfect storm in a sense, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Madrell probably has some really good questions about the social media side of things. Because I've always wondered, like, how natural was it? Was it just like you were on the gram and then you were like, wait, this is perfect for what I do? Or were you just kind of like learning as you went and then eventually you kind of settle into it?
I mean, what's crazy is that, like, when I first heard about Instagram, I didn't even want a gram. Like, one of my boys had set up a gram for me. I was like, yo, delete that, man. I don't want it. And then, like, a couple months later, I was like, all right, let me open up another account.
Let me see what this is about.
Let me see what this is about. And really and truly, like, I feel it was natural to a certain extent, because I would just highlight things that I was naturally doing, you know, with no filters.
Right.
I can just, if I had an idea, whether big or small, I can go and put it on there and like share it with the world. So that platform, including like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, like I was able to just like use those things to just connect with people, man, and like tell my story without it going through a filter of someone else's agenda, you know?
I think that was sort of like the one of the cool running jokes in the Go series is like it starts with you like when you're crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, like you're literally on Instagram, like, and then when you're in Dubai, it's like there's people taking photos of you for Instagram. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's crazy you say that, man, because like we put that moment in there because I figured people would just react to it, because like everyone knows, like, oh, you're riding your bike, you're on the bridge, and you're on the gram. But that's something I would normally do. Like,
suicide.
I would check the gram. Like, why not? See what's popping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's crazy you mentioned that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we could talk about the Go series has been kind of like a really cool thing to watch go down, because it's like you've created, like, there's sequels now. Like you got like, there's a continuity to it. Well, the last one was Dubai, right?
Yeah, last one's Dubai.
And when's the next one's London, right?
Well, I can't say that yet, but
it's got Tiny Tempa at the end, man. Like,
I mean, yeah, but I can send them anywhere.
I'm not gonna leak it.
No, but I mean, even like the Go series, man, I think has definitely I feel like changed the conversation for me in a sense. You know, I've been doing content for a very, very long time, and I feel like all those years I was doing content, I think it was leading up to the Go series, because if you look at the Go series, a lot of the things that I did in the past, it was maybe like a piece of it in some kind of format, you know, and I feel like it's just like that series in itself has been a culmination of all the content that I've been doing, man. And it started off with just an idea of like, I just want to create something that it's mine, something that I own, something that's in New York City, and just really give people an insight to what it is like it is to ride around New York City, you know. And like, yes, like all those things can happen in one day. They may not happen. Of course, we put it together like that, but it's very possible that can all happen in one day. And I wanted to share that, and also just like raise like the bar of creativity. I wanted to like do something I've never done before and push myself somewhere else. You know?
I think that one of the most interesting things about it is like if you watch the New York one, the first one, like that's your hometown. So there's like this feeling that you're gonna get that right. You're gonna be able to show people what it's like to ride across the Brooklyn Bridge, all that. But the really interesting part for me was that like when you took it to LA and then when you take it to Dubai, like I haven't spent a whole lot of time in LA, but I've been to Dubai a couple of times. And it's the exact same situation where it's like that's actually what it's like to just kind of be in Dubai for 24 hours. It might not all happen in one day, like you said. But they do crazy shit, like they'll go like snowboarding down a sand dune, or you'll end up at like the abandoned car graveyard, whatever it is, and then like all of that. And so I think that one of the most interesting parts about it is that you, in that series, like you capture what it's like to be in that city for people that might not have the chance to go there.
Of course, and like that was one of the biggest things too, where that like, not biggest things, but that was one of the things that inspired me to even create the Go series, where people will always ask me, yo, how does it feel to do this, or how does it feel to do that, or what is it like to hang out with this person? And I was like, okay, cool, how could I create something to answer those questions or to give people like that insight? And that's like probably where it really started for me. And then I sat down with my director, Harrison Boyce, and we kind of like fleshed it out, you know, like, cool, I feel this is like the right way to do it. And at first, like, we had the concept, but didn't really have the format down. We had to figure it out, you know, because each scene is like usually a scene in the video is anywhere from 5 to like 11 seconds, you know, and like at first, like we were filming like 30-second like clips and like
lines.
Like full lines, like riding like 2 city blocks. It was like, this is way too long, bro. We have to chop it up, man. But we figured it out, man, and like I don't know if you guys know, but like the main goal of the series is to ride my bicycle around the world.
Right.
So when when we're done with this series, you can sit down and you can literally watch me ride from Queens, New York, around the world and back to Queens. So like that's like the point of it, where like all of them connect for a reason. It's not just like random cities.
No,
you know?
yeah, of course. And there's like a narrative to it.
Of
like,
course,
it's always
yeah.
like someone's picking you up or you're going somewhere at the end of each one.
Exactly.
What's the like? How long does it take to make one of them? Because that's the whole point. Is it's meant to look like one seamless
Yeah.
thing, but
It takes
it's
a while.
not.
Nah,
it's
not at
definitely
all.
not.
Nah, I mean you can see like the level of production has rose in between from New York to like now the production has gone up for sure.
You jumped out of a plane in the
Yeah, that
last
was
one.
insane.
That was crazy, bro.
That was real, right? Like
That was all real.
You went wingsuit,
Dude.
jumping.
It was a tandem jump.
Okay, so you had
so-
someone behind you helping you out.
That was my first time skydiving in my life, dude. And people were like, "Holy, the first time you're gonna skydive is with your bicycle?" I was like, "Yeah, that make sense." Like, my bike
born with it that way,
yeah, like this thing has been with me everywhere. Yeah, but we jumped out the plane with the bike, and I'm like, I'm probably gonna release the other angle eventually,
Right.
And people can actually see me holding onto my bike, so people will like think, like, know it's real.
Yeah.
But that was insane. That was something I always wanted to do, was go skydiving, and I felt like if I'm gonna do it throughout this series, like Dubai is the place to do it.
Yeah, that's that makes like I said, it's very extra. Like everything is so like you went to the water park. You did this, like,
dude. We went down that water slide probably like 15 times, bro.
just because it was fun. You had the shot. It was just.
I mean, it was fun, but also to get it right. You know, it was weird because I mean, like people, I'm sure people can guess like there's a camera on my body somewhere, but they wouldn't let me go down with the camera and like the place I had it. So we had to like finagle another way for me to like get that shot down, and we had to kind of sneak and like make it happen. It was a whole thing to it, man.
I think the coolest part of the series is when you like address the fact that you clearly have like either a GoPro or like a camera on somewhere, and there's like it's in the New York one. I think like you go to the jeweler and you look in a mirror and it's like where's
What the fuck is the camera?
Where's the camera? What is this guy doing?
There's a camera on my body somewhere. I'm not gonna say, but it's there. You know, we make it happen.
Yeah,
you know?
and you've gotten some pretty like some big name people to do that, like little cameos and bits and stuff like that, like Victor Cruz, Pharrell.
Yeah.
And how is that kind of fed into it? Like, how do you hit them up out of the blue, like the same way that they text you about the biking thing?
Nah, I mean, usually it's like everyone you see in the video is usually like a close friend of mine or a friend of a friend, you know. And when we did New York, I just wanted to add something extra. Like, cool, let me like just holler at some of the homies that I would naturally hang out and see.
Yeah.
Let me put them in a video, and people like react to it so much. They like loved it. Like, cool, like, this is part of the DNA like of the video. People always want to be like, yo, who's gonna be that cameo, and really don't release any of that until the video comes out. And I'm like super particular over who's in the video and how we release the actual content. Like I like it to be a surprise. Like the first time you watch it, everything is brand new.
Yeah.
So like you don't really see a lot of behind the scenes stuff while we're shooting. Sometimes people don't even know I'm actually shooting it, you know, just like to keep it a secret, you know. Especially nowadays with social media where everything comes out so early and kind of ruins surprises. That
Everything gets leaked.
Yeah, I'd rather keep it, as much of it as possible, close to me until like the video's ready to be released, you know.
Do you have a favorite moment that you've recorded yet so far for like the Go series?
Oh wow, that's hard, man. There's so many moments.
So many
dude.
moments.
Yeah, I mean,
Jumped out of
like,
a plane, dude.
yeah, like
That has to be a moment.
like
Top 5.
like in Dubai. I mean, so like I'll probably give you top 5 right now. So in Dubai, definitely jump out the plane is like a super iconic moment for this series.
Yeah.
Tokyo with the go-karts was crazy. LA, I would say like the Rob Dyrdek part, like going to like the Fancy Factory and like riding that was like super insane. New York in the traffic backwards was crazy. Think of another one. And then I went scuba diving for the first time in Dubai. So it was so many things I did for the first time.
That's in the Mall of the Emirates
Yeah,
too, right?
it was like it's so many things in the video series I do for the first time. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I just want to like make it happen, and the video allows me to facilitate those things. So it's like, okay, cool. I have a reason to go and do like this thing for the first time, and I want to get this shot. You know,
Man, that's funny. I love the New York one where you like go, or no, the best cameo I think might be the Ben Baller in the LA
in
one.
the Rari.
Yeah, it's just in a Ferrari. Like, of course he's in a Ferrari. On the highway.
Dude, like even that, like I had Ben, like, I'm doing this video, man, I want you to come through, and he was just like, all right, cool, no doubt. Like everyone has seen the video at this point, and they know what it is. So like they're like, I'm not gonna make anyone look bad. That's never like my agenda at all. I want to highlight people and highlight the things they do and like their lifestyles as well. And you know, people are usually down to like make a cameo or come through for a minute, you know. So definitely like thank you to everyone who's helped get the Ghost Series to where it is now. There's a lot of individuals that's involved. You know,
what's the craziest, like, besides obviously jumping out of planes, being with sharks and stuff, like, what are the craziest behind the scenes stories for these kind of things?
Oh man, it's too many, bro. I think it's like just like the crunch time moment where it's like, cool, we have like 2 days left and we still have 10 scenes to shoot, man.
Right.
Or just that we'll roll up in a city and not really know much of the city, and people will just really help us out, man. Like after they watch it, they love the content, they love the series. Like cool, like whatever you need to help us out. So I think one of the best things about traveling the world and like being able to shoot this like video series is like the friendships that I've created throughout that time. You know what I mean? Like met so many cool people in Dubai that we still speak all the time. Actually, I think my homie Rara's in town now. I gotta hit him up.
There you go.
But it's just those things I feel like mean the most to me, being able to go and create something and then have friendships and bonds that last a lifetime. You know, I think that's truly incredible.
Yeah, and speaking of these friendships, like some of your closest friends are like, you know, the playmakers and stuff here in New York, for instance, like, you know, with Ronnie and Teddy from ALD. Like,
of course.
How is that to see, like, you know, just how much the New York fashion scene has changed thanks to, like, you know, some of your close friends?
I mean, I think it's incredible, man, but to see, like, these ideas start from, like, a conversation and then to watch them grow.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's just motivating for me, man. Like, we were chopping it up yesterday on the way back, man, and Teddy and I were speaking, and he was telling me how the brand started and what he started with, and I was like, wow, like, that's incredible. You know, like, a lot of times, like, these brands that are, like, pushing this like culture that we embrace every day forward, man, like it started off as this little idea and someone had enough ambition and drive and grit to go and get it and push the bar, man. And that's I think that's truly amazing. I love to be surrounded by people like that, you know. I'm trying to do the same myself.
Yeah, so when they hit you up to, like, you know, like model and stuff, like how much does that mean to you? Like, I would assume like a lot, you know what I mean? Like when Ronnie hit you up and like, hey, I want you to be in my lookbook.
No, of course, man. It's dope because it's just, again, it's a collaboration. You know, it's one of those moments where he has an idea and it's like, how can his friends in his circle help him facilitate that idea? Same thing for me. Like when I have an idea and I need to like reach out to someone, I need a solid. You know, I think it's just having a strong circle of individuals who are all driven and who all want it. You know, like that. It feels good to be a part of something like that. You know.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, speaking of inspirations and kind of keeping these people near you, I think earlier we talked about like pushback from people in the BMX community, but I think one of the biggest sort of people that embraced you and kind of brought you into the fold was Dave Mirra. And, you know, we lost Dave, I think, almost a year ago.
A little over a year ago. And when he passed, you wrote an obituary for us. And I was wondering, like, what was your relationship with him like? What was his contribution? What was some of his advice to you as like a young guy, especially because you were really young when you met him, right? Yeah, man. Well, shout out to Rob for letting me write that piece and throwing it up on the site, man. People like really like loved it, man. Like the reaction to that was crazy, man. Shout out to Bob Marshall. And definitely RIP to the late great Dave Mirra. You know, for me, you got to think about it where I grew up watching that man ride contests and different video parts like from a super young age, man. He was my idol for sure, and being able to finally meet him, and that's the dude that gave me the opportunity to go pro. Like that in itself is so crazy. Surreal. You know, it's, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. I still think about it now, like I can't believe that happened. You know, like what are the chances? You know, and throughout my career, like if I had anything that's on my mind or anything I was dealing with, I would always like hit him up and speak to him. You know, like when I really started to get a lot of backlash and hate from my BMX community because they didn't understand the way I was going about things, I had multiple conversations with Dave, you know, and he would tell me like, yo, hold your head, like don't worry about that, you know what I mean, stay focused. And he was also, as great as he was, like he received a lot of hate and backlash as well, because he was winning all the contests and had the biggest sponsors, and you know, there's only enough to go around for but so many within like BMX business and the community. And some people didn't like him because he was just so good, and he was just amazing, you know. So he was able to understand like where I was coming from. I understood where he's coming from, and just always words of encouragement.
I think he also, like, I think for people that might not be super familiar with the BMX world, it's like he is that Tony Hawk-ish figure. You know what I mean?
Dave Mirra is to BMX is what Jordan is to basketball. Like really and truly.
Even better, yeah. Like,
you know, like he is the GOAT. Like
exactly.
Like greatest of all time, hands down, no conversation, no debate.
Right.
Like, he changed the game so much.
And when you do reach that kind of point, like you've been saying, like when you challenge people's idea of what BMX can be, like you are going to attract like haters and whatever, and there's going to be people that even resent someone that brings it to the mainstream. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of, I always thought that it was kind of cool for the guy that was like leading the pack to literally be like, yeah, you're going to be fine. We're going to be all right.
No, of course. And to even embrace me like that, man, when he signed me to Miracle, which was his bike company, when I was 18 years old, gave me my own pro model bike, my own pro model frame, started to get paid like officially, like that was a game changer for me. Okay, now I had the resources to go and really express myself, to really go throw it down, you know. Prior to that, I had no money, just running right around, like just doing the best I possibly can. But he gave me a real opportunity to have a career, and now I'm sitting here with you guys like, wow, this is, you know, years later, it's like to have someone of that stature to believe in me at such an early age and at an early point in time as well, you know, because he had signed me to Miracle probably a month or two after we met for the first time, you know, so like he didn't really like know me that well then. We had to take that time to get to know one another. But he just believed in me and had a great cosign from someone that he believed in as well, and it all worked out, you know.
Wow.
So it sucks that he's gone right now, but you know, life happens, you know.
Yeah.
From having like, you know, influential role models like Dave to becoming a role model yourself, like, are you very conscious of like how you present yourself?
No, of course, and I feel like you have to. I feel like people are watching the things you're doing. I feel you have a certain responsibility to your community, to your family. So I'm not gonna go out there and wild out. Of course, I'm gonna have fun and I'm gonna express myself, but I'm not gonna make myself look stupid, you know.
Yeah.
Well, trying my best not to. But yeah, like I'm conscious of the things I do and what I put out to the world, you know.
And you do keep it very New York, like, you know, like for instance with your Go series of always like, you know, just reiterating like just New York and its influence on you. Like, you know, like what do you have like any, you know, future goals for like, you know, the New York community here that you foster?
Of course, I'm gonna just continue to push BMX, continue to help like the next generation of BMX kids come up. There's a lot of talented BMX riders in New York City, a lot of them, dude, and I just want to be able to help them facilitate their dreams as well, you know, like, and have them help them experience some of the things I've experienced, because I know what that is coming from the places they come from. Yeah. You know, like a lot of these kids don't come from anything, you know, so like if I'm able to just offer a helping hand or a conversation or just me pushing myself as far as I possibly can and letting them know that it's possible, because we come from the same exact place, you know, like grew up riding the same exact spots, you know, I feel that's like extremely important.
And what would you say is like, what's the state of like the BMX culture right now? Because there's people like you, and then there's also like, I think that like No Jumper and On Some Shit have done a thing where they've kind of like made BMX sort of like a cultural thing in LA in a way. So do you think that there's like, is it in a better place now than it ever has been, or where would you say it's at?
That's a good question. It's in a good spot because I feel social media has allowed like BMX riders to really showcase what it is that like we do and how we hang out, like what our lifestyle is about. You know, I think prior to that, like people will kind of look at BMX and be like, okay, cool, whatever. You know what I mean? But now, with the power of social media, you're able to show you get down just the same way we get down. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You know, like we want to hang out, have a good time, express ourselves, and you know, like try to be successful and push our culture forward, you know, like, so as far as the state of it right now, I feel it is in a good place because we're able to really showcase what it is that we do as BMX riders and break those stereotypes that we're not just these crazy daredevils, because that's not what the case is at all. You know, and I always reference that when I explain BMX, because I hear it so much. Like, I will speak to like a person and be like, "Oh, you guys are daredevils, you guys are crazy." Like, yeah, like, we like to have a good time, and there's a little bit of an adrenaline junkie in us, but at the same time, like, a lot of what we do is calculated. You know, like, we're athletes, we're young businessmen, we're entrepreneurs, we're dreamers, we're go-getters. It just happened to be a different vehicle.
Yeah, it's like you jumped out of a plane, but it was for an 11-second video. It was for an 11-second take. It
was for the beginning of an amazing video. Like, that's just what it was, man. But so yeah, it's in a good place. You see more and more kids like riding every day and picking up bicycles, and I think that's awesome. You know, like, I feel that bicycle is one of the most incredible machines like ever invented. You know, it's a great way to go through a city. It's a great way to explore your neighborhood. You know, so I do want to see like more kids like picking up bicycles, and I feel like I'm gonna just have to do. I feel like just me doing my part like would help that. You know, just putting out there as much as I possibly can.
And do you have kids that reach out and say that they like started riding bikes because of you, or is it like, is that crazy? Like, probably for the same reason that you meeting Dave Mirra must have been nuts.
Of course. I mean, like, I can remember times where it was like dead of winter and I'm like big bubble coat on, like 2 socks, like out like in the street, like filming myself with a little video camera on a tripod. You know what I mean? Just like chasing that dream, like wanting it that much. You know, just like I'll do a couple of joints. And I'll go back inside, watch the video, see what I'm doing, understand how I'm riding, and just that helped me work on like my technique. So it's things that I nature. So like I know what it is coming from those places, man. So to see kids from all over the world like reach out to me and like tell me like, "Oh yeah, like I started riding because of you, or you inspired me to ride." I'm like, damn, that's amazing, you know. And that goes back to, I feel like, just me doing my job, you know, as much as like I'm working to achieve certain things. I also have to be accessible to a certain extent, you know, for like certain kids to just be able to reach out and me to respond and say, "Word, keep doing your thing," you know, because I know how much that means. You know, if I was
out there in the bubble coat,
12 years old, and Dave Mirra hit me up like, "Oh yeah, like do your thing," like that would have been like the craziest thing ever. I'm like, "Of course,
sir, yes, sir."
Yeah, it goes a long way, man. So I think it's just like one cycle, you know, it's like one big cycle, and then you got to just continue to push forward.
Word.
You know what I mean?
I mean, again, like, you know, talking about like, you know, just your responsibility as a role model, like as far as like your fashion taste and stuff on the bike. Like, I mean, most traditional BMX bikes riders are probably like, you know, just trying to dress for equipment. You're out here dressing stylish and stuff while doing it on the bike. Is that like, you know, like that's your own taste to it, your own spin on like, you know, the BMX thing? Can you talk about that?
That's just New York City shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna roll through Soho, got to be right. And I know some man is like, I love style, man. I just love like fashion and shit. I think it's just, I grew up with it. You know, like from even like those days, like back to school shopping, and you had to have a certain situation. You gotta have a pair of all whites, and you gotta have a pair of all this, and you gotta have these jeans depending on what was going on at the time. Like, that never left me. Just because I'm on my bicycle doesn't mean I'm gonna like stop like caring about those things, you know. And again, it's like, I feel like the same way that I'm gonna use my bike to express myself, what we wear also is a reflection of how we feel that day and us expressing ourselves. So it's one big thing. You know, also like for me, like when I'm watching footage back, like I want the trick to look good. I want what I'm wearing to be a certain way. It's a whole like image that I have like in my mind that I want to see. You know what I mean? So that's why I do certain things like that, where I don't want a certain thing to go ride or a certain pair of kicks. Like, it's just a vibe, you know? Yeah.
I read a tweet recently that you responded to that said that you need your own Air Jordan 1. Do you want to have your own Air Jordan 1 one day?
Of course, why not? That's like my favorite shoe ever. Yeah, that's you know what I mean? Like, I ride in it all the time. I wear it like almost every day. You know what I mean? Like,
got you've been wearing the rust pink ones too, right?
Yeah, I wore them the other day. I was rocking those joints. Internet went crazy over those joints.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, it was almost like you were the one that got to tease those. What's your relationship with Nike like these days?
I mean, it's good money. That's how I turned pro at 18 years old, and my first 2 sponsors was Miracle and Nike. So I've been signed to Nike for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a while, man, and it's been good, dude. We've been, you know, they'll hook me up, and they help me again to facilitate some of my ideas and something that I want to get out. So we're working on a couple things. So
Blink twice is missing Air Jordan.
we'll leave it at that.
That's awesome. And so, I mean, you know, you hinted where the next go thing might be.
Yeah.
You've got.
I hinted. No, you hinted.
I guess
There was a hint.
the end of the episode is Tiny Temple. Like, there's 2 places you're possibly going, and you're already in Dubai. Like, you're not going anywhere.
Shout out to Tiny, man.
Yeah, and he's always in Dubai. That guy is always in Dubai. But, you know, like, there's always sort of, I mean, like we said before, you're not a competitive rider, so it's always sort of like you keep your audience sort of guessing like what's going to be the next thing. And so, you know, we kind of got to ask, like, what's your next move? What are you planning on? What should we keep an eye out for?
I mean, there's definitely be more go videos. Like I said,
you got to make it around the world.
Exactly. So you could definitely assume there'll be more. We're aiming to do at least 2 more next year. The way timing worked out for 2017, we were only able to do 1, but we're aiming to do 2 next year. And then definitely continue to build on like the merch side of Go. So I want to build out a whole merchandise program for it, which I'm excited about. And then you know, a couple other things we got up the sleeve. Like I told you before, man, I like the element of surprise, man.
I was about to say, I was like, let the record show that he smiled really sneakily as he said that. Like,
we got some exciting things like coming, man, like really and truly. But again, like we got some bikes coming, you know, a couple of things. I can't
soon come.
Yeah,
soon
come. But you guys know, man, like KITH is like family to me, bro. You guys get everything first, so
it's true. We do get the emails.
All good.
We do get the emails. Every
Exactly.
once in a while.
I'm like, yo, this is popping next, like, you know. So you guys would definitely get the early exclusive to certain things, you know.
That's good to know. Well, yeah, man, we always like to close out sort of on like I guess sort of a retrospective note. I don't really know which way we always try to phrase it, but basically like if you could go back in time to that 13-year-old that was wearing the Bubble Goose jacket on the street when it's like freezing, when it's brick outside, what piece of like advice would you give to 13-year-old Nigel Sylvester?
And plain and simple, just work harder and work smarter, really and truly. You know, really, really and truly, just continue to push. Don't give up. You know, it's like, as cliche as those things may sound, like that's really what I think to myself every day. You know, like we made it this far, continue going. Don't stop, you know, because I'm sure back then people wouldn't have thought that things would work out the way it did, and I'm extremely grateful and thankful. But I'm also not going to be content. You know, I'm going to continue to push forward. So I would tell that young man to stay focused.
Get up and go.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for finding some time, man. Hopefully you get some time to sleep before you head out to Miami.
Sleep. No time for sleep, man.
Nobody sleeps.
Ain't no time. We sleep on a plane, man. You know.
Oh, those are good problems to have, right? Well, anyway, we really appreciate you stopping by. Obviously, open invite anytime you're in town for whatever amount of time.
Yeah, like we need to do this again, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
really.
Yeah.
Episode 2 soon come.
Yeah, episode soon come.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man.
Of course, thank you, man.